There are two highly anticipated documentaries opening this weekend, but before we get to them, let's talk about The House with a Clock in Its Walls. Yes, it's one of the more awkward titles of the year. It is based on a novel by John Bellairs. It stars Jack Black, Cate Blanchett, Kyle MacLachlan, and the young Owen Vaccaro. It's directed by Eli Roth, which is kind of interesting because Eli Roth is the director of such horror films as Hostel, Knock Knock, Cabin Fever. He also just did Death Wish earlier this year. So it's interesting that Eli Roth is directing a film that is aimed at families and children. The plot of this one, it's a haunted house, kind of a family-style mystery. Young Lewis, again played by Owen Vaccaro, goes to live with his crazy uncle and aunt in a house that seemingly has deep, dark secrets hidden in its walls. It's really witty. There's a lot of funny dialogue, some good banter, but the film seems to lose its way the longer that it goes on. It starts off feeling like a film that could have been a classic, one where kids and adults would have walked away happy, but despite being about magic, the film doesn't really possess any. Even still, there's enough here where kids are going to really enjoy themselves. But here's a strong warning, too. Despite the PG rating, there are definitely some very scary sequences that I thought could have and should have landed this one in the PG-13 territory. This is the mildest of recommendations, a good, not great family comedy just in time for Halloween, and I give it the passing grade of a B-. On to the documentaries hitting theaters this week. First up, it's Michael Moore's supercharged political documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9.
I'm sick and tired of people telling me that America's the greatest country because we can whip your ass.
I hate some of these people, but I'd never kill them.
How do you deal with this? You're never going to be able to unsee what you saw.
Try to impeach him. Just try it. You will have a spasm of violence in this country like you've never seen.
Sort of acts as a follow-up companion film to his earlier Fahrenheit 9/11, which was all about the Bush presidency. Michael Moore is one of the best argument makers in the business, which is why he's the most successful documentarian of all time. But diehard fans of his might be a bit surprised to find out that his latest work isn't just a Donald Trump hit piece. It is that too, don't get me wrong. No, Michael Moore takes on pretty much the entire establishment here. Republicans, Democrats, Hillary, Obama, and especially Michigan Governor Rick Snyder. In fact, the movie is really a film about the ongoing Flint water crisis wrapped in the guise of a rally cry for political activism. Watching the U.S. premiere of the film in Flint, Michigan, alongside residents of Flint, it really made the water crisis hit home in a personal way that sometimes gets lost in the never-ending news cycle. Michael Moore isn't on screen as much as he usually is in his films, but he has a lot more to say here than ever before. This is a wild, all-over-the-place journey that Moore successfully steers home, and in the end, this really truly is a must-watch for all Americans on both sides of the aisle, in my opinion. Unfortunately, Moore's name alone will most likely mean that this movie is equivalent to him just preaching to the choir. But he's hoping his choir really uses their voice like never before come this November. Fahrenheit 11/9 is a classic Michael Moore film. It's a vital, angry cry for help, not just for a nation in turmoil, but for a city left behind. I give it an A-. The other doc in theaters this weekend is not as hard-hitting and is one that everyone should be able to find common ground on.
Hi, I'm Gilda Radner, and, okay, now.
I can't believe this is her handwriting.
This is a real honor. Like, seriously, this is huge.
Are these actually her papers? Like what she...
This is, Gilda Radner, her voice and her writing.
She was the very first performer chosen for the cast of Saturday Night Live.
From the time I was a kid, I loved to pretend.
I can't imagine how I got famous. I just took the next job and millions of people were watching me do it.
Love, Gilda is a biopic all about the late Gilda Radner, the comedic genius who was the breakout star among the original cast of Saturday Night Live. The film's fairly straightforward, but it's a loving remembrance of a singular talent, one that was taken from us all too soon. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll come away with a well-rounded take on who she was and what she did, even if it never really digs all that deep into her psyche. Love, Gilda is a fine film, but probably not as special as its subject. I give it a B. There are lots of other films coming out this week, like the Ethan Hawke-directed Blaze and the Kristen Stewart-Chloe Sevigny vehicle Lizzie. For those reviews and more, please check me out on Rotten Tomatoes. Just go to RottenTomatoes.com and click on Critics List, then navigate to my name, Tom Santilli. You'll find all of my reviews there. You can also, of course, follow me on Twitter at Tom Santilli and hit up the MovieShowPlus.com website as well. That's all for this week. We'll see you at the movies.